Okay, hi, and welcome to the Karma of Michael Jakcson. And this is the second part where I'm going to try to wrap it up and there's so much to say about his chart and his karma. It's intense. And as I said, it's Michael Jakcson. It can't be anything else other than intense and rich and deep and full of different directions where you can analyze. But, his first solo album, after he severed connections with his family, with his brothers, and with his dad, whom he fired and replaced with the brilliant producer Quincy Jones. That, first of all, to me, that's where he broke some of his karma. I mean, that's where he broke it big time. Not the whole story, but looking at the South Node in Aries in the first house, and with that packed sixth house, the person, the soul of Michael Jakcson came into this world feeling that their independence and leadership and their freedom to make their own choices and lead their lives as they see was just truncated, just crushed down to the ground. The sixth house is on its shadow side, the house of servants, being under orders, because it's about, among other things, the sixth house is about duties and responsibilities. But there was no one, who was, I think, who cared about Michael Jakcson but that's a different you see, there's so many facets to go down. But Michael Jakcson the kid took on his narrow shoulders not only the success of the Jakcson 5, but the whole financial situation of the family was on him. Okay. The story of From Rags to Riches, which is the American dream, the classical American dream of coming from not so much, and then with talent and hard work, climbing the steps up to becoming rich and successful and famous, or at least, having a good life in that sense. It was all on him, and he led his family towards that, but he was not free. Okay. Not to mention the fact that he was, used and abused. Okay. He was abused psychologically, physically. I mean, it's really hard to talk about that. But Mars is the ruler of his South Node, and it's in the second house. Second house, on its flip side, can be about lack of self-worth and also lack of physical safety in your surroundings. With Mars there, there's going to be issues of violence, and in a person who's inflicted and with violence, and we know that that's unfortunately what happened. And throughout that, he was the king. And Taurus, incidentally, is the sign that's most correlated with music. Taurus is about finding your inner serenity and about being in tune with your primordial body, with your instinctual body and its needs. And one of the means by which to reach that inner peace and connecting, not like Pisces, which Pisces is more transcendental. Taurus is connecting down, to the reality of Earth and of the body. And so, first of all, there's the music, which helps us to reach. If we really are deep in the music, we can reach a something that is some realm of experience that is before language. It existed before language and will keep existing after language, if that makes sense. And so, that beautiful song that Michael sang as a child, Music in Me, it's like something about you can always have other lovers, but there'll always be, my first love is music. It's music in me. And beautiful, beautiful angelic voice. That was truthful. Now, Taurus also to me explains, especially with Mars there, the way that his dance was like in his DNA. Obviously, he perfected it, which is what he did with everything, because he was a Virgo, and in the sixth house, perfecting your craft constantly. It's quite a burden, as I talked about, but still, look at the outcome. So Mars is passionate, and when you connect, when you merge that passion into your music and with your body, it all becomes one. And with that precision of Virgo, and now, okay, that's Michael Jakcson, the performer, where I heard this really concise description or explanation of what happens when Michael Jakcson is on stage performing. Sheryl Crow, the singer, in the Bad tour, she was his one of his how do you call it, the accompanying singers, and she sang a duet with him. I Just Can't Stop Loving You. She was she was his partner for that duet. When she was asked, how did it feel? How was it with performing with Michael Jakcson, and what was it like, and what was he like? She says, when Michael Jakcson starts singing on stage, he changes the molecules. So trying to understand that magic and that electricity, that's one way of putting it. Something changes in really the depth and the kind of the basic way that things are connected. Man. But that's what I wanted to say about the South Node. And I'm just going to go to that sixth house. Remember, I talked about him carrying it all on himself. He was the leader. Of course, he enjoyed it, but I mean, it was a lot to carry. And working as a child and everything. But the sixth house also has to do with your lineage and with your mentors. And I think that, parents are also mentor characters. They're supposed to be your mentors. They show you the way. Of course, when Michael Jakcson talked about his idols, Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, James Brown, Diana Ross, Smokey Robinson, etc. There's more. But those were his mentors, okay? But I think that you can see in that sixth house configuration, all the planets there, a theme of neglect. Because when we try to understand the karma, we're going to look at what went wrong. So the flip side of the sixth house that's really beautiful, okay, is that people don't fulfill their duties, okay? And the child is neglected. There's many ways of being neglected, but definitely there's an issue of neglect here. So when so there's the sense of Michael Jakcson coming into this world, a soul who has been robbed of their power, okay? And to me, when he severed connections, when he disconnected from the Jakcson Five and went on his own, that was the beginning of him reclaiming his power, okay, and reclaiming his voice. Now, the North Node lies in Libra, and Libra, one of its archetypes is the artist, okay? I mean, he was always an artist, but at this point, he started to go on his express or manifest his artistic visions of himself, And with the seventh house, I talked about the lesson or the thing that you need to learn is to know who to trust and with whom you can collaborate. Because Libra is about relationships, and the seventh house traditionally is the house of marriage. Okay, it tells us that what he came here to do, he couldn't do alone, right? So the Jakcson Five, okay, he was a part of the team, of the group. Even he was a soloist, but still they were there behind him. But that was not exactly his own, his own thing. So now he comes of age, and he chooses who he wants to collaborate with. He goes on faith because Jupiter is conjunct his north node. Okay, and Jupiter is about it's about abundance and success. And so I said one of the reasons I know that he did break the karma was that he achieved so much and he became so successful, and you need to have a sense of experience victory. Okay, he was so victorious, and he was, the king of pop. Jupiter is the king of the gods, and it's the king of the gods who wants to share of its the riches with everyone. And that's what Michael did, first of all, by being an artist and a performer and sharing his music and his his artistic genius with us, but also the huge amounts of money, which I understand that he gave to charity, and his vision of peace and love. And look at that Neptune that's conjunct Jupiter. I mean, it's out of quality because it's in Scorpio, but Neptune is that vast ocean of creativity and sort of being inspired by that mystery of, I don't know, the universe or God, or that intangible force. Or I really don't, you know what? When you try to describe Neptune, it's kind of like Pisces. You're sometimes at a loss for words because it's slippery, not in a bad sense. Okay, I mean, you can't touch the, it's about intuition. And Michael said early on, I think after Thriller, and I mentioned that, when he became this mega superstar worldwide, like the most famous person on earth, and everyone wanted to interview him and kept asking him, well, what happens when you write a song, and how did you write this song, and all these kind of boring, what do you call it? Just script. They always ask the same thing, but he says, I can't take credit for these songs really because they come to me from space, from God, and I'm their channel. And that is so, first of all, Piscian. His moon is in Pisces, and it's that Neptune, which is what he needed to evolve towards. And you can see, it's interesting that both Jupiter and Neptune are the rulers of Pisces. Jupiter is the traditional ruler, Neptune is the modern ruler. So Jupiter, in any case, today is the ruler of Sagittarius. But I don't care if it's traditional or not. It's like the forces that are bringing him forward, his soul, are Piscean. Now, I want to talk about that square, which Mars, the South Node ruler, Mars is squared by a few of those planets in that conjunction. And the square talks about something that vexed him in a prior life, that gave him a hard time, that was in cross purposes with him. And these are the same planets that trine that south node. So to me, I feel that something was going on there where Michael, obviously his name wasn't Michael, he was a different person, but these are the memories that the soul comes into this world to deal with, to resolve, to reckon with, and to so that the soul can evolve and have something new emerge. And I'm not sure that he completely broke his karma. Rarely do we. How can we deal with everything? And the thing is that I think, that's just my opinion, is that Michael Jakcson had so much to heal from concerning his childhood and the way he was. Well, on one hand, he was this huge star, beloved and admired, and just super talented and everything. But at home, he really suffered as a violent father. And how can you really get over that without help? But I'm not sure that he knew who to trust, or that he could really jump into that very difficult and painful process of looking into your wounds. He did that through his art, and that song, "Will You Be There For Me," will carry me boldly. Will you be able to bear my insecurities and my pain and my struggles and confessions and etc. It's a beautiful song. If you want to listen to it, it's so moving. And that's where, as opposed to when he was a kid and he sang, "I'll Be There For You," right? Which he kept on singing throughout his adult life, because it's just a beautiful song. But think about the trajectory from "I'll be there for you, just call my name and I'll be there," to "Will you be there for me?" Expressing the just elemental, need, just that we all have. We all need someone to be there for us, or at least the knowledge that someone will be there for us in our darkest hour. So he was brave enough to me, that's courage, to express that and to say, "I get lonely sometimes, I need someone to hold me like a brother and love me like a mother." Yeah, that's wonderful. The question is, did he really go into that process, not only through his art, okay, but in therapy? There's many ways of doing that, because boy, did he have a lot to heal from. Okay, so looking at this square, these three planets, that conjunction in Leo, form a square. They're not an exact square, but Mercury and Venus are, really close to being a square. And of course, Uranus, you can't just split it and disregard it. It's like all the same forces and entities. So what was its square purposes with Michael Jakcson has to do with the symbolism of these planets. So there's a few roads we can go down, but I'm not going to go into this in depth because, well, when I started doing the reading of Michael Jakcson's chart, I thought I would have two videos, the chart and then the karma. But Michael Jakcson is bigger than life, and he represents so many issues, okay? Not only just the music and the dance, and it's just go on Google and just books about Michael Jakcson, okay? Now, I've read, since I started looking into his chart, I got so engrossed in everything about him, and so obsessed, you can say, that I read probably more than a dozen books, and then more articles and newspaper bits, and just now you read one book that convinces you that he was innocent and he was taken down, or even conspired against, and then you're like, yeah, that's so convincing. And then you read another book that says exactly the opposite, or makes a point for the opposite, and it's kind of convincing as well. And I apologize in advance. It's like I'm no judge. He was acquitted, but I don't think that anybody really can. Well, some people claim to know the facts, but yeah. So this is very sensitive territory, and I can definitely see that the trouble that he was faced, and that definitely traumatized him, because Uranus is about trauma on the, like, the shadow side of Uranus. Now, trauma, or being exiled, being seen as a criminal, because Uranus represents Aquarius, and has to do with not going according to the conventional codes and finding your own authentic voice. And so on the flip side of that, it can indicate a situation where, but in a very traumatic way, a person was exiled, killed, just beaten down. And yeah, so now Mercury symbolizes youth, of course, media, yeah, communication. And I was thinking about how the media just put him on a pedestal, but just, and rightly so. And then the media, the tabloid, not mostly the tabloids, just had so much fun humiliating Michael Jakcson. And okay, but just the media, because the media, there's the press is newspapers that really have do serious research. It's not always going to be nice and fun. Maybe they're not going to always review you positively, but at least it's I don't think the motivation is just sensationalism. Whereas the tabloids back then in the 80s, they were gaining momentum, and Michael Jakcson was like their number one target to make fun of, to humiliate, to just, well, they knew that would sell, right? So you can also see in this respect that the media brought him down, and is finally what enabled the judicial system to prosecute him, and to put him on trial, which I believe that's what killed him. Essentially, he died 4 years later. He didn't recover from that. And again, I'm not a judge. I don't claim to know the truth, but you can see that those issues, and Venus is about attraction and love. Yeah, that's really, I think that it's so tragic. Such a talented, beautiful, and like this phenomenon that will never happen again. So in a way, it's like a Greek tragedy in some ways. His life, it's like he went up and up and up and up and up and up and up. He was at the top of the world, and then he came crashing down, 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 down. Not only he made beautiful music, and then he became a father, and it was lots of wonderful things that he did after those allegations had been made. But that's what started the way downhill. There's something about these issues here that he both, I think, didn't resolve, but also yes, because Venus is also about the arts, and he became an artist in his own right. And a planet that squares the south node is sometimes called like the skipped step. So he didn't skip it this time. He developed it, and he became it, the artist. So thank you. There's so much more to say, and I want someone else to take it from here, or else I'll just devote another 2 years to write a book about Michael Jakcson through the lens of evolutionary astrology. Yeah. Thank you, Michael Jakcson, for visiting us here on Earth. And I hope that next time it'll be a little bit easier. Thank you.